Who the hell are you? You know. You all know exactly who I am. Say my name. Do what? I don't I don't have a damn clue who the hell you are. Yeah, you do. I'm the cook. I'm the man who killed Gus Fring. Bullshit. Cartel got Fring. Are you sure? That's right. Now say my name. You're Heisenberg. You goddamn right. Wow, what's up? Haha, welcome to my season 5 spoiler review of Breaking Bad. I am furious. Why am I furious? Great question. Well, yesterday it was May 13th to be exact, to be precise. Friday the 13th. I don't believe in this Friday the 13th crap, but guess what? I recorded over an hour only for me to finally realize that OBS was not recording my mic. So the video was recorded, but not my actual voice, which means I'm gonna have to do everything again. Even though it's a pretty damn good review, so that's why I'm pissed. But I'm gonna try making the best out of it now. I've slept over it, and I'm like, you know what? I can do this again, and I'm gonna try making this even better than my review yesterday. Yeah. What a roller coaster ride season 5 of Breaking Bad is. I mean, you have. First of all, let's just talk about the overall season 5, and why I think is so good. But I also want to say that throughout this revisiting of Breaking Bad, I've really realized that it's actually there are different types of shows, right? That work differently once you watch them again. For instance, sitcoms, you can watch them at any time, or comedy shows like South Park. You could watch any episode of South Park multiple times, and it would not really just your enjoyment would not go all that much down. It's not like, oh, this is not rewatchable at all anymore. Or How I Met Your Mother. I could watch any episode of How I Met Your Mother. I don't care when, and I don't care how many times. It just always works because it's not necessarily about the, oh, what's gonna happen next. It's about the vibe. It's just enjoying it. It's just fun entertainment. That's what sitcoms really are. Usually are, or comedy shows like Family Guy and The Simpsons. You can just watch them, and you can watch them out of place. You know, you can just watch season 11, episode 13 of The Simpsons without having seen any of the other 200 episodes before it. You don't have to have seen anything of The Simpsons ever to watch season 11, episode 13. You know, with Breaking Bad, you definitely must see everything before watching, say, season 3, episode 1. All right, you gotta watch all the first 2 seasons, every single one of the episodes. Especially because there are also no previews on the Breaking Bad episodes, so I guess that also plays a major role in that. Also, very important, since Breaking Bad is a drama series is very much so focused and based on the anticipation, right? For the audience to finding out what happens next. I want to know what happens next. I don't know what happens next. These characters are in danger. I care about these characters, and I want them to make it alive out of this situation, or I want some of these characters to die. Right? I don't want to see this character anymore. I don't like that. Blah blah blah. All those sort of things. Now, if you've already seen the entirety of that drama series, and if you try watching it again, which is exactly what I've done here with Breaking Bad, it's gonna be more difficult for you to fully get invested into it, at least to the extent that you were invested in it the first time you watched it, because that's the first experience of a movie or a television show. That's always the most valuable and cherishable one. That's just it just needs to be protected. That's why it's so important to stay away from spoilers, because once you've seen something, you're spoiled fully. You're fully spoiled, right? And then you watch it again with spoilers in mind. But if you've already been spoiled about something, right? That something's gonna happen or this character's gonna die, and you watch it for the first time, that first time viewing is not gonna be as special anymore, because it's basically like you're watching it again, because you already know the story, you already know what's gonna happen, what happens next, you already know the twist. So it's that surprise element that then is taken away. Especially also if you know spoiler, then you just wait for it throughout the entire time for it to happen. I had actually been spoiled when it came to my first viewing of Breaking Bad, unfortunately. That was also a wrong spoiler though. But anyways, this is a spoiler review. I'm just letting you know why it's sometimes, especially with drama series, why it's more difficult watching them again and then judging them. So say, also, since the most, the last experience or the last viewing experience of a show that you've had is also the one that is most likely going to remain in your head and not really the first time, right? Like when you judge the quality of a show or a movie, you really most likely, most of the time, base it off of the last time you watched it, you know? So maybe the first time you watched, I don't know, Joker, you might have thought, oh my gosh, this film's so great, one of the best films ever. And then you watched it again for the second time, and then you're like, you know what, I think that first time just kind of hype took over, and I don't know, I didn't really like, I didn't really like it the second time around now. So now, from now on, when you talk about Joker, you're gonna think of the second viewing of Joker rather than the first viewing. That's where you're gonna base your opinion off of. So that's kind of the thing with Breaking Bad, where it's kind of unfair, since this is now my second full viewing. I've actually technically seen it 3 times. One of the times, the first time I watched Breaking Bad in its entirety was 2020. In 2021, I saw most of it. And then this year, 2022. So almost 3 full viewings. Let's just say 2 full viewings. But it's just gonna be more difficult for a show like Breaking Bad now for me to compare it to my first viewing of The Sopranos, for instance, right? Because I plan on watching The Sopranos. I don't know when. Because I'm going to be quite a bit busy, actually. So I'm going to try doing it this year. I don't know. Whenever I have quite a bit of time to kill. I mean, you're talking about like over 100 episodes of television. So that's going to be, it's going to be very difficult. You know, I mean, if I just look up, right, The Sopranos, how many episodes do you think? Huh? How many episodes do you think? Oh, 86 episodes. All right. We'll see. But it's basically what I'm telling you guys. Like when I watched the Sopranos for the first time, it's gonna be that like this. I don't know what's gonna happen next. So, and then comparing it to a show, to my last experience, my last viewing of the show Breaking Bad, where I had already known exactly pretty much everything or all the most important things that would happen next and the way they would pan out. It's just going to be more difficult, I suppose, for Breaking Bad to then compete. But I'm going to try making it in my head as fair as possible, you know, and also kind of try to reminisce and take things from the first experience that I've had watching for when I watched Breaking Bad for the first time. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting, that's for sure. So what do I think of season 5? By the way, yes, this episode, since this is the final season of Breaking Bad, you will see my freaking final rating, my final review of the show. As now this is literally just the final it's the final season. So the last time that I get to talk about this show, unfortunately, it's kind of sad that it's not over. Yeah. It's just so heartbreaking, like seeing the way some things end. Like that's the great thing, especially also about at least one positive thing about rewatching something, right? Is that I had the privilege of reliving some of these moments and also knowing that when some of these characters hugged for the last time, that I knew that that was the last time. When those two characters had their last conversation, their final conversation with one another, that I already knew because I had seen the show before, that was the last conversation. And it just made it all the more emotional for me. And to see how specifically those scenes were then executed, you could just feel that there was a different flair, a different vibe to that, as if the characters already knew that this was probably going to be the last time those two characters would interact with one another. It's just this really bittersweet moment of, I guess, joy, the fact that you would see those characters this, like, last time and this particular moment, but also the sadness that they're not gonna interact with one another anymore, and this is really it, and that all things come to an end eventually. So there's a lot of just crazy emotions running through with this show, and emotionally I gotta say it still hits. It really does. Maybe even more so than when I watched it for the first time. Yeah. And to just see the heartbreak unravel the way it does, I think is the way it's executed. It's just a brilliant show, and this season really makes it all the more clear. I want to say this, right? Because there's always this debate: which season of Breaking Bad is the best one? And I gotta say, having now seen this show in its entirety for the second time, I think season 5 is better than season 4, making season 5 the best season. Now, first of all, season 5 has the most amount of episodes, 16 episodes. Season 1 had 7 episodes. Seasons 2, 3, and 4 all had 13 episodes each. And yeah, season 5, some people say it's 6 seasons because they say like season 5 part 1 is 8 episodes, and then they took 11 months off, basically a year, and that's then the 6th season. IMDb considers it 5 seasons. Officially, it's 5 seasons. I consider it 5 seasons. Yeah. So the longest season is also the best season. It's not the best season because it's the longest. No, it's the best season because it's the best season. There's many reasons for why it's the best. I want to make this comparison or I want to make something clear here. When you watched Avengers Endgame. Now, the best way to experience Avengers Endgame is if you have seen all the other MCU movies leading up to Avengers Endgame. If you have done that, great. Absolutely wonderful. Perfect. You're going to have the perfect experience. You're going to have the best possible experience to witness it. And why does Avengers Endgame feel so emotionally heavy on you? Is it because Avengers Endgame is such a great movie? Well, perhaps. But the biggest reason for why that is, and why it has that effect on you, is not because of Avengers Endgame's accomplishment alone as a film itself. No, it's gonna be because of all the characters that you had seen beforehand, all the storylines, and all the things culminating in this huge, large event that is Avengers Endgame. That's why it feels so heavy. That's why, because we've been through with these characters for so long. And it's exactly the same thing with Breaking Bad, that when they just have a normal conversation, perhaps even an emotional conversation, it's going to feel all the more heavy in season 5 because we've already seen them in seasons 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's why, like, later seasons and sometimes movies, but movies tend to struggle with that a little more. Because movie franchises a lot of the time are kind of somewhat of a mess, you know. I don't know, you look at Jaws, the Jaws franchise, the Jurassic Park franchise, the Fast and Furious franchise. They're all just kind of all over the place. They're not all as structured as the Marvel Cinematic Universe. No, the Marvel Cinematic Universe in that regard is a rarity, which has worked out tremendously well, of course. But when we look at Breaking Bad, this is a show. This is by one creator who had a vision, and he just pulled through all the way to the end. That's why so many times when you have in TV shows, when there's a different, like, certain writers quitting, other writers coming in, that's why sometimes you can just tell when the quality of the show drops, or when the show just changes into this weird different thing that it never was, and now it just feels off for the fan of the show. So now the audience kind of feels like what's going on? This is so not the show that I fell in love with, right? But since the creator Vince Gilligan stayed around for this show throughout the entire time, that's why this show also works so well, is because he had a vision and he pulled all the way through, and he had a great vision and he executed it incredibly well. And that he's crushed it. He really has. So it's just one of those things that it's one of those moments that it's so, you just gotta cherish the moment and be happy to be a part of it, to be a part of this journey. And given that it is one creator, a genius creator in Vince Gilligan, who has just managed to pull through all the way to the end, I'm so grateful for that, for sure. And millions of Breaking Bad fans all over the world are as well. He has done a tremendous job. And you could just tell, man, these characters are still written the right way. It doesn't feel off when certain characters when some of these characters do certain decisions. It's like, no, this is that character. This is the character, you know. And whenever there's a character arc and the character goes through changes, it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel cheap or not earned. No, it feels just right. It feels like genuinely the progression of a human being, and it feels so real because it's written and directed and filmed with such authenticity. It's amazing. It really is. So as we usually do, let's just go quickly through all the ratings so you guys know where I stand on the show, right? We did that with all other 4 seasons of Breaking Bad, so let's just do that for episodes 1 to 16, starting off with episode 1 in order until episode 16. So starting off with an 8 out of 10, then another 8 out of 10, 8, 8, 9, 9, 9, 8, 9, 9, 8, 8, 9, 10, 8, 9. That's right. We finally have a 10. And yes, it is episode 14, Ozymandias. Don't worry, we will talk about that one for quite a bit. But let's actually start off with episode 1. As I think, well, for episode 1 I only wrote down Magnet. Because that's what it is. It's just a Magnet episode. It's basically when Walt, Mike, and Walt, Jesse, and Mike team up, and this is after Mike came off from the, I guess, clinic from the drug cartel, as you could call that. Eventually, Mike is mad when he found out that that Walt killed Gus Fring, right? So Mike wants to kill him. Jesse holds him back. Mike still, because Mike and Jesse spend quite a bit of time together, and Jesse has proven himself to be a worthy asset. Mike likes Jesse. Jesse likes Mike. They both have mutual respect for one another. So Mike kind of pulls back and is like, all right. And Walt basically says, all right, we have our fair share of differences. Let's mutually just kind of relax, sit back a little bit, and put our differences aside and basically work together for a shared goal for both interests. So basically, the problem is that there's a surveillance camera that Mike had spied, that Gus had spied on, Walt and Jesse working in the meth lab, and Mike was also in that meth lab, so he's also in the recording, so it is also of his interest for him to make those videotapes go away, right? So basically, what they come up with was actually what Jesse came up with. He just said, hey, what about a magnet? And to be honest, when he said that, I was like, he's kind of saying a stupid thing again, right? Like, it's kind of a, what about it, is what the others say. I believe Walt says that. Yeah, well, they do take a magnet. Perhaps they could have chosen a different way of getting rid of it, but they basically pull up in a big vehicle with a huge magnet attached to it. Actually, on the inside there's a magnet, and then just Walt turned it all the way up next to the building, so that all the magnetic stuff would fly across the freaking room and slam into the walls, and basically eventually the goal was to wreck the laptop, and that's exactly what they managed to do. That would have sucked for sure if that hadn't done it, but maybe it would have anyways, like even if the laptop hadn't flown. I don't know, actually maybe not, I don't know, I'm not sure of that. But it worked. It was kind of a cool episode, not the best episode, but I liked it. We have episode 2, and Walt and Jesse want to move forward with the cooking business and ask Mike to be a part of it. He declines, he still hates Walt. Then Hank Schrader and his partner / best friend Stephen Gomez interrogate Mike and talk about the $2 million he received from Gus. In other words, Mike's $2 million are now gone, which is why he decides to get into business with Walt and Jesse. Mike's $2 million were reserved for his granddaughter. Yeah, and that she would get all that money when she grows up, and that she will be secure for the future, because obviously Mike is not going to be around forever. He's not the youngest guy anymore, He's just taking care for his sweet dear granddaughter. Episode 3, as Walt and Jesse get back into cooking, they are treating each other with respect. They're not bashing each other. They are working professionally with one another for potentially the first time ever. I'm not sure whether I can remember them ever treating each other with such profound and amazing respect. It's no longer this, oh, you're my slave, oh, you do this, you do whatever I tell you, you don't know shit, I'm the master cook, you know. And then also no like part of Jesse telling Walt, "Hey, bitch," right? Which, by the way, his potty mouth has kind of gone down. So good for you, Jesse. Mike and Walt get into an argument at the end of the episode because of so much of the money going over to Mike's guys in prison, who are keeping their mouths shut. Here we have Walter's greed once again kicking in, causing friction inside the team. Again, it's just that Walt loves his money, man. He loves money, and he wants to get as much as possible, and he just doesn't. I mean, if Walt could do that, he would just take all the money and not give any money to others. You know, maybe he would give some to Jesse because he actually really does care about Jesse. But he's really like, I want as much of money as possible, and I don't accept giving money away to others who don't deserve to be given money. It's basically, in his eyes, don't deserve to be given money, right? So yeah, episode 4, Walt has now turned 51, meaning that the entire Breaking Bad story up to that point has taken pretty much exactly 1 year. Walt treats himself and his son, Walter Jr., to beautiful new cars. Walt now has a 2012 Chrysler 300 SRT8. It's a very nice looking car, I have to say. And Walter Jr., now with the stunning 2012 Dodge Challenger SRT8. I don't think it's the Hellcat. I don't even know where the Hellcats were built at that time. I'm not sure. But I love cars, and I love that scene so much when they pull up to the driveway, both of them, and they're revving like that. It's just, bro, I love seeing that. I love listening to that. It's music to my ears. I love it so much. In a moment of weakness, Skylar decides to be done with life, not thinking of her son Walter Jr. and not thinking of her little baby daughter Holly, who is just a couple of months old. Skylar throws herself into the water and I suppose wants to drown herself, but Walt saves her. Skylar did this so she could have a reason for Hank and Marie to take the kids so that they are away from Walt. Skylar doesn't feel safe around Walt anymore. She mentions the example. She mentions the threat of Gus Fring killing Walt and his family when they actually had to be transferred over to Hank's home. That was quite a bit of a, let's just say, a scary moment for the family. A scary moment for the White family. Also for Marie. Hank wasn't really scared. No, he wasn't bothered by it. But his life was definitely in danger. Oh yeah, his life was definitely in danger. Gus wanted him dead. Why? Because Hank was coming for Walt. Because Hank was coming for Gus. Now, I have it with the names today, but I think the flow of this video so far is fine, right? Yeah, so then we have, was it episode 5? Yeah. Hank is now settling in his new office as he got promoted. This episode had one of the most awesome scenes in all of Breaking Bad. When Walt, Jesse, and Todd steal 1,000 gallons of methylamine from a freight train. Was it freight train? Man, yesterday I said it. I said it in that video the same way. I still haven't looked it up. I gotta look that word up. How to say it? I think it's freight train. Or is it freight train? I think it's freight train. Train, freaking train. All right, and they freaking steal methylamine. Also, not the easiest word. Yeah, I loved it so much. The way that was executed, it is one of the most thrilling and exciting scenes in the entire show, hands down. And a lot of fun to watch with good tension, and great seeing Bill Burr in this episode again. And he actually plays a major role in this episode, as he kind of has to, he's there in the cars, basically road blocking or rail blocking the train from moving along. Of course, he wants to buy them time. Yeah, that's basically what it is. There is a big shocker though at the end of the episode when Todd fatally shoots a little kid who witnessed the robbery. Now, what they say in this show is that the kid didn't actually see the robbery. But I think he could have kind of... I mean, we don't know for how long he's been standing there, first of all. Maybe he's actually witnessed quite a bit more. But let's just say he didn't. Like, I mean, I get it that there's a little bit of a threat then, but so what? So what if they had found out that meth had been stolen? Alright, and? Like, it's just... Todd just makes this super abrupt decision and unnecessarily kills the little kid. It's messed up. It's sad. But it happened. Like, you cannot reverse time, but it's just he did it, and it's done with. And Jesse especially is... seems like he has the most heart in this situation, right? Mike is also a little messed up because he has a granddaughter. Walt, I guess, handles it the best, as he doesn't really... I don't want to say the best like that. No, Jesse, I would say, handled it the best because Todd killed a little kid. Walt wasn't very fazed by it, let's just say that, So he didn't really... He cared about it, but not too much. It's kind of like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. Anyways, it's like the Jeremy Clarkson Top Gear one. Oh no. Anyways, it's like that. Yeah. So, I don't know. It's unfortunate that Todd did that, and it kind of, I guess, gave audiences a new side of Todd, that he's also a reckless killer. And, like, really. And I just think it's good that we got to see that side of him, or that audiences got to see that side of him, so that people would understand, hey, this is not some nice guy. No. Definitely not. As something else happens later on in this show, actually at the end, I would say. We're going to talk about that one for sure. Episode 6, as Hank is on Mike's ass. Jesse and Mike want out of the meth cooking business. Both of them want to retire, to Walt's complete disbelief. Walt kind of tries to... Walt doesn't care too much for Mike leaving. He's like, stay, Mike. But he's like, Walter, I'm done. That's the way he talks. I love the way... Jonathan Banks is his name, right? Yeah, I think so. I love the way he talks. But Walt, of course, obviously cares way more for Jesse. So he's like, Jesse, stay. I love the way he says, Jesse. You know, Jesse, you better stay with me. Sorry, that was not good. I'm gonna stop now. Jesse! That was the last time, I'm sorry. I had to do it. Nah, just, he cares for Jesse, and Jesse also cares for Mr. White. That was not good. Hey, I try, alright? Give me a break. But, so, yeah, and he really doesn't want to let Jesse go. And he really tries his best to convince Jesse to stay with him, you know, to keep on cooking with him. Episode 7. We have the famous "Say my name. You're Heisenberg. You goddamn right" speech. The one that I did in the beginning, in the intro of the video. So great. And that's just what it just goes to show you, like, there's just so many iconic moments in this show. I mean, this season in general, like, in this show, yes. I mean, season 4 also had a lot of them. Season 3 even as well, I would say. What does a man do, Walt? A man provides. That was a great one, you know. Then you also had multiple other season 4 moments. Of course, you have the ding ding ding, you know, man, when, you know, and then also a season 1, of course, you have like, oh, tight. You know, when you have that one, that moment with Tuco. I think that was pretty good, actually. Yeah, that was a great moment too. Or you know, like Tuco just going crazy like that. I cannot go too crazy. I have neighbors. I know season 5 has, like, every episode basically has at least one iconic scene in it that you see, like, all the time in memes. It's amazing, really. You know, how about a magnet? Like, even that is kind of iconic, right? Then the "Say My Name," of course. That one's big, absolutely. Then you have Hank sitting on the toilet. That one is iconic. What else? You have Walt saying, oh yeah, you have Hank saying, "You're the smartest man I've ever known, but you're too stupid to realize that he's made up his mind 10 minutes ago." Something like that. You know, I'm paraphrasing, yeah, I think. But yeah, that moment. We're gonna talk about that one. Ozymandias, man. I'm telling you. If you tell me one more time that you did this for the family, I swear I did it for me. I did it for me, Schrader. Again, paraphrasing, but that one is also iconic. You know, I did it for me. It's just when you have so many iconic moments and they're just all so great. You just gotta be so happy that you have seen this show, you know. Because these iconic moments are not like cringe-worthy or bad moments. They're genuinely terrific, fantastic, incredible pieces of television. Literally the peak of television that we're witnessing here, right? It's just amazing to have been a part of it. Is an absolute privilege. It really is. We have the famous "Say My Name" speech. Mike parts ways with Walt and Jesse. Jesse wants to go as well, but Walt doesn't want to let him go. Jesse just wants to get his cut from Walt, the $5 million. Since Jesse left, Walt is now cooking meth with Todd. It's kind of Jesse's replacement, I suppose. And a very sad ending here as Walt kills Mike because he wouldn't give up his men's names. As Mike is dying, Walt makes the observation that he could have gotten the names from Lydia, making this entire thing super unnecessary. What an unfortunate ending. Again, this is Walt just acting emotionally, and it's just not right. Well, if you're in this business, you're not doing anything right in general, but it's just sad, man. It's really sad, and the way, like, that scene especially hit me, like, watching it again. It's like, man, this is so messed up. I can't believe it, you know. That was nuts. Yeah. Episode 8. Walt contracted Todd's uncle to kill all 9, or actually I think it was 10, all 10 of Mike's men who are in prison within just 2 minutes. Yeah, kill 10 men, spread across all these prisons, kill them all within just 2 minutes. A massive operation which went down successfully. Almost 3 months have now passed that Hank and Marie have kept the children. Walt gives Jesse his $5 million, which might have been the $5 million Walt stole from Mike after he killed him. I mean, there's 2 options for this, right? Technically, there's 3 options. Because, you know, once Walt had killed Mike, there's no way he's just gonna let the $5 million be in Mike's car. What, on open road? There's no way, right? There's absolutely no way, no. So either he took those $5 million for himself, stole that money literally, or he gave the money, those $5 million maybe. What if he gave that $5 million to Jesse? That's a possibility for sure. You know, so it's basically not even like Jesse's $5 million, but it's actually Mike's $5 million that Walt would give to Jesse. That's a possibility. I don't think the show ever addresses it. I'm not sure it does. I'm not sure. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Or third option, Walt actually gave that money to Mike's granddaughter. It would be great if it's at least option 3, but I kind of feel like it might be option 2. I don't think he took that money for himself. I think he would be like, this is your money, Jesse. Yeah. Walter tells Skyler, I'm out. He says he's out. He's done. And then, of course, let's talk about the iconic toilet scene. And audiences had to wait 1 entire year for the shit to end. It's just amazing. Like, Hank straight up was sitting on that toilet being like, oh, boom, it just went down like that. Took an entire year for that shit to come out. Nuts, right? Yeah. Well, at least it came out. Reminds me of that South Park episode. Remember that one? I'm not. It's kind of disgusting. Very disgusting, actually. Pretty funny as well, though. It's so stupid. I'm sorry. Yeah, who can drop the biggest deuce? But it's like, he straight up took a shit for an entire year. Audiences, it's just amazing to me that audiences had literally to wait freaking 11 months, say a year, for them to finally find out what would happen next. And it's just this moment of like, really? Now you're gonna like now you're seeing this that freaking Hank that Walt did all this shit after he's out. Really, that's when you're gonna mess shit up? I wanted Walt to get away with it. But looks like that ain't gonna happen with Hank finding out for sure. You know? It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen, no. So episode 9, we have Hank, who is now working on his investigation, digging into Walt and desperately hoping that it isn't true. That's his brother-in-law. He loved him, you know. And it's just... Or he still loves him. And then he hates him. As he finds out about more and more of the stuff. And as more and more things start matching up. Lydia wants Walt to come back to cooking meth. Walt refuses. Jesse heavily suspects that Walt killed Mike. And Hank put a tracking device onto Walt's car, which Walt has found out about. We finally have the confrontation between Walt and Hank. And my days is it heartbreaking. Seeing this long-lasting friendship dissolve just like that. It's just the saddest thing ever. Hank cannot believe that Walt would do such a thing, and he's angry that he just didn't notice, and he's angry at Walt for putting Skylar through all these bad times, and just it's so sad. It is so sad. No, literally a family torn to pieces just like that. And all of this is happening as Walt has finally hung up the gloves. Yeah. All of it after Walt said, I'm done, I'm out. And that's when he gets caught. It's sad. It is very, very sad indeed. Yeah. Episode 10. We have the iconic lying on the stack of money scene. Yeah, when Huel just leans back onto the money, be like, and then Bill Burr's character Kubi would also just join him and be like, what the hell? And then as his head laid down, a little bit of stack of money fell down to the ground. It's just a great shot. It's a great shot. It's just awesome seeing all this money and then them just being like... Because it's just kind of what you want to do. You want to be as Bill said, you want to be like Scrooge McDuck, you know? Yeah, because we all know that Scrooge loves all that money, like Walter White. Yeah, in many ways, Walter White is Scrooge. Fascinating stuff, isn't it? Oh yeah, Walt buries all his money in the desert. He doesn't get, and he writes the coordinates down so that, why did he do that again? Oh yeah, of course, because because Hank is onto Walt. And burying it some place in the desert is just... Yeah, most likely not gonna find it. There's no way. Like, it's just too long of a road. It's... The desert in New Mexico is... it's a lot, And, yeah, so anyways, he writes down the coordinates. Coordinates. He writes them down, and that he puts it onto the fridge, I think. And then he also takes that into his wallet. Did he make a copy? I don't know. It's not that important. Point is, all his money is in the desert. And he knows where it is. And it's only him who knows that. Walt makes Skyler an offer. He would give himself up if Skyler keeps all the money. Skyler says that he can't give himself up without giving up the money. You know, Skyler suggests that they should stay quiet. Look at her going all criminal there, huh? Yeah, well, thing is, right? Let's just say Walt gives himself up and the DEA cannot find the money. The moment Skyler or her son or daughter, or heck, even Skyler's granddaughters and sons, the moment they start purchasing something for a suspiciously large amount of money, say 200,000, 300,000, and they can pay for it themselves, that's gonna raise quite a few eyebrows, you know. Yeah, where's that money coming from? I mean, you were talking $80 million there, but even if they spent say 1 or 2 million, which is just a fraction of the 80 million, of course, it's gonna raise some eyebrows. Even I'm sure if they spend only 100K, you know, because they're not doing too financially well. That's just the truth. If it wasn't for Walt's drug money. Jesse is now being interrogated because he went on a little adventure, throwing millions of dollars out of the window, literally. Just keeps on driving like that, just freaking, yeah. Probably not the smartest idea. I don't know how they caught him. Well, he was there in the park, I guess, just waiting. So somebody must have come by and be like, "Hey, this guy he gave us money." It definitely raised quite a few eyebrows. Where did you get all that money from? Jesse? That's right. So, yeah. Episode 11. Hank is trying to extract information out of Jesse. Walt records a video of him confessing. He frames Hank and lies that Hank was the drug overlord, makes up some story about how Hank is the real drug kingpin who would have connections with Gus Fring, and forced Walt to cook meth for him, and Walt also paid $177,000 for Hank's treatment, which he just found out about through that video. Marie did not tell him, so he's really upset, Hank, that she took that drug money, not knowing it was drug money, of course. They thought it was gambling money. Marie did, and everybody else did, except for Skyler and Walt, of course. But it's just one of those moments. It's Hank is really going after this guy hard for all the shit that he's done and all the money he is earned because of it. And some of that money is the reason why Hank is here today, walking pretty healthy and not financially broke. Yeah. So it's messed up. It really is. Yeah. Jesse finds out Walt poisoned Brock, and then he just goes absolute berserk. To be honest, I don't like the way Jesse finds out, about what Walt did to Brock. I don't like the way it was executed. Like, he just looked at the stack of cigarettes, and it was like, I don't like it. I don't like it. No. And this is also the point when I really started disliking Jesse. Yeah. Because he just... So what, Brock survived? I mean, at the end of the day, what Walt says is that he made sure just to have the right amount of poison in it so that Brock would survive. You know what I mean? Also, it's like Jesse didn't know about the what's it called? Lily of the Valley flower. He didn't know that Walt ever possessed such a thing, right? He only knew that Walter was capable of making ricin, but not Lily of the Valley. That he would have bought that and, I don't know, made Brock feel bad or whatever. Because if you guys remember, like, Walt did use the Lily of the Valley, and that was also the diagnosis, I guess. Not the ricin. So I don't know, it's just, I don't like the way that scene was executed, and that was actually a key moment. So that was probably my least favorite moment in season 5 of Breaking Bad, because it's such a crucial moment. I don't like the way that's executed, to be honest. Now maybe I'm getting something wrong, let me know. I just think, yeah, I know he did go to Saul after that, and he did kind of get a little bit of that information. But still, like, I don't know, it's just, I don't like it. Sorry. That particular moment, I was like, yeah. And yeah, this is also the moment when I really started to, like, dislike Jesse. Because he goes so berserk, because he snitches, he rats on Walt. Which makes him be in danger now as well. Yeah, it's just, I don't like it. Sorry. So episode 12, since Jesse ruined the carpets in Walt's house by pouring gasoline on them, Walt decides to take his family to a hotel, which Walt Jr. was a big fan of. The fact that they would do that. Skyler, of course, saw through that charade, I guess, and be like, something's wrong here. Why are we here? So yeah. Having found out about the situation, sorry, I might have allergies. I mean, I'm getting my allergy test. By the time you're listening to this, only like a week later, alright? Yeah. By the time I'm recording this, May 14th, 6 weeks. Something like that. Yeah. Yeah, well, having found out about the situation, Skyler suggests that Walt should kill Jesse. Oh yeah, she suggested that. Heavily suggested that. Strongly implied it that that's maybe, just maybe, what they should do. So basically what she said was that we've come so far. What's one step further? Yeah, she said that. Yes, she said that. Uh-huh. Oh, she said it. We've already come so far. What's one more? Far. Alright. And it's not like Jesse is a good person either. With all the things that Jesse has done, Jesse might have a heart. Yes, sure. But that doesn't make him a good person. None of these people are good people. Let's just make that clear, alright? None of them. I mean, Walter Jr., he's still growing up, so I guess he's fine. I guess Holly's fine. But you think Saul is a good man? You think Walt is a good man? Mike? Hank, even? Hank is trying his best. Hank is not a bad man. Well, he's done some shit too, though. Like, he assaulted Walt Understandably so, though, to be fair. He also assaulted Jesse. Understandably so, once again. But he's got his priorities set straight. It's important for him not to be a dirty cop, even though he once kind of just bashed in on some people in the bar, at a bar. He has some radical measures every once in a while, I guess. But I don't think he's one of the better people. Let's just say that in Breaking Bad, for sure. Skyler isn't a good... Well, she's put in a very bad and tough situation, so is she a bad person, Skyler? She cheated on Walt, which was a big mistake. A big problem. It's just, you're not a good person if you cheat on your loved one, you know, on your partner. You're just not a good person. You're not. Sorry. That does not make you. You're betraying the trust of the love of your life. And even if that person is not the love of your life, that other person loves you unconditionally. So it's just like you broke it apart, you know. And Walt was devastated then. He kind of wanted to be on that revenge trip and kind of he tried to get something going with Carmen, obviously, in season 3, I think. But she was like, "Get your hands off." Yeah, it was like, all right, shoot. Yeah, she's a tougher nut to crack than freaking Ted, right? Yeah. But it turns out Hank was the one that stopped Jesse from burning the house down. He was like, "Don't move, don't do it," right? He was like that. Yeah. Don't do shit. Yeah. So he stopped. And Hank and Jesse are now cooperating, which makes Jesse a rat. A rat, bro. He's a rat. We have a rat problem in the DEA. But this guy's an informant. No, he's a rat. He's a rat. It's a problem for Walt, for sure. The White family, as Hank already is on Walt's ass, and it just really makes everything a lot more difficult now, since they have a proper witness in Jesse Pinkman. So yeah, Hank Schrader. So episode 13, Hank Schrader, Stephen Gomez, and Jesse Pinkman. Laura Walter White. Look at me, going for the full names. Laura Walter White into going to the location where the money is. They successfully do that and get to the location Walt unknowingly brought them to. Walt calls Todd's uncle as he sees Jesse come by. But during the call, he also sees Hank, which made Walt call off the attack. But they still come. Yeah. They still come. And now it's a situation as Hank and Steven get into a shootout with Todd's uncle, and his crew. And Hank and Steven are clearly outnumbered by like 6 or 7, 8 people, you know. No chance. And the type of guns the other guys had, again, no chance, you know. Hank was firing with a pistol, Stephen Gomez with a shotgun, I think. But shotgun is more so close distance. It would just reach, but it's not the most effective rifle for that distance, I would say. Yeah, episode 14. So, episode 13 was Tohajule. Fantastic episode. Episode 14, Ozymandias. Ladies and gentlemen, perhaps the greatest episode in all of television. Definitely one of the greatest, one of the best episodes in TV history for sure. Wow. This episode has it all. Now, of course, since this was a rewatch, I guess we could call it, I have seen the show before, so I already knew everything that was gonna happen next. And since I also seen that episode multiple times, so you also always gotta take that into consideration when I talk about it. But I'm trying to be like as fair as possible here, of course. And I also was like, for the culture, I'll just give it a 10. Because it has an average rating of a 10 out of 10 on IMDb. Yeah, that's right. Average rating. Not highest, average rating. Average rating of a 10 out of 10. Like, you just don't have that. Of course, it's probably like 9.95, 9.96, 9.97, something like that. But it's just amazing that they would say average rating 10 out of 10. Out of like 150,000 ratings. Yeah. Nuts. I think that's actually the best voted, highest voted episode in TV history as well. It's a titan of an episode. It's so well executed. You have a flashback starting off the show, you know. With sorry, my brain. When Walt and Jesse were in the desert, cooking for the very first time, which is also the place where, of course, the shootout is happening right at that moment. So that's there's a tie-in, you know, because Jesse in the previous episode had said this is the time when we first cooked, right? This is the place where we first cooked. So seeing that in the next episode, in the preview, and then you also see Walt calling Skyler, lying about his actions, which is exactly what he did at that point. This was still very much so in the early beginning stages. And he said, yeah, you know, I'm at Bogdan's right now and I need to be here for a little longer or something like that, you know. Which was, of course, a complete lie. Skyler says, since she's pregnant, she says, how do you like Holly, the name? And he's like, I like it. So then you can just kind of tell, since in the intro and the preview, they talk about Holly. By the way, I also thought, what if they had just been like, one of them is called Walter Jr., the other one's Skyler Jr.? I don't know, I just kind of thought that would be Skyler Jr. Yeah. That would have been funny. I think so. But then there's also, you know, the mention of the name Holly. This just goes to show you, because Breaking Bad has done this throughout the entire show. Foreshadowing. Usually and oftentimes when something is mentioned in the beginning of an episode, it's usually then resolved or a foreshadowing for the future, for the next things to come within that episode. Then there's, of course, other foreshadowing in Breaking Bad where stuff is teased and later on is resolved in the upcoming seasons or upcoming episodes or whatever. So here you have the mention of Holly. They're talking about a name. You know, Holly is the topic, the subject matter here. So you would kind of think maybe she might just really play a big role, a major role in that episode, the Ozymandias episode, and she really, really does. She plays a huge role in that episode, actually. But we'll get to that in just a second. So first of all, Stephen Gomez has been killed. And Hank is injured. Walt is willing to give up all his money. $80 That's right, $80 million to save Hank. So, despite how greedy Walt is, when it comes to family, kind of like Dominic Toretto. He's also bald, by the way. He's like, you're not messing with my family. You know, you can take all the money, but don't take my family away from me. So he's willing to give up $80 million. $80 million. Just to save Hank, the guy who's trying to his very best to ruin the rest of Walt's life. He's trying to get him, you know. So it's just one of those things. It's like, really, like you want to give up everything for him, but I get it, and I like that about Walt. Like he has a line. Even though it might sometimes seems like he doesn't have a line. With some of the things that he's done, but even Walt has a line, and I guess that line has been crossed by the threat of the danger of, well, the threat and danger of Hank's life being taken away. That's too much. So Walt is just willing to give it all up, and he's like, here's the money, please let him live. And then Hank gives him the speech, you know, like, you're the smartest guy I've ever known, but you're too stupid to see that he's made his mind up. That he's made up his mind 10 minutes ago. Todd's uncle kills Hank. Oh boy. And takes 6 of the 7 barrels, leaving just 1 behind for Walt. Yeah, they steal it. They wanted to steal all 7, but Todd's uncle was like, have a heart. So Walt is left with 1 barrel, which has like $10 to $11 million in it. And yeah, that's it. They go off. Walt is left with his Cadillac, but the fuel tank has been shot, so he doesn't get very far, so he has to roll it over, and he buys his other truck and blah blah blah. Fast forward. Jesse is now imprisoned by Todd's crew, cooking meth for them. Well, Jesse's cooking meth for Todd's crew, right? And he's being mistreated badly, and really treated like an animal. Perhaps worse than an animal. No, I think it's just about equal like an animal. You know, worse than a pet. You know, yeah. So it's messed up, and right as they take Jesse away from the shootout scene, Walt tells him that he witnessed Jane die. He watched her die, and he could have prevented her from dying as she was choking, but he chose not to. So, and it's just that extra bit of heartbreak. This long time partner of mine, trust broken, but Jesse really did that when he snitched on Walt. Fast forward, everybody knows about Walt. Everybody. It's in the news. Walter Jr. of course knows. Marie knows. Walt even kidnaps Holly. And he even threatens to kill Skylar if she rats. If she rats out, on Walt, or if she rats on Walt, he's done. Sorry, she's done. He's done as well, but she will get killed, and Walt will kill her, apparently. That's what he said. That's what he said. And yeah, episode 15, man. Saul and Walt are... See, this is... Up until this point, this is how long the review was that I did yesterday. And none of it was recorded. So this video is actually like 15 minutes long. But it's fine. At least I get to talk about some other stuff and elaborate more things. And this is, like I said, this is my love letter to the or for the Breaking Bad universe that I love so much. The penultimate episode, episode 15. Saul and Walt are both on the run. Saul will go to Nebraska, very nice, and Walt goes to New Hampshire. I've heard many great things about New Hampshire, and it looks beautiful, and so I just want to say that. I'd love to go to New Hampshire, actually. But yeah, out of Todd's crew, Todd has been by far the best to Jesse. Having said that, after Jesse tried to escape and failed, Todd went to Andrea's place and killed Andrea in front of Jesse's eyes, which was a shocking moment. And again, it's just showing, man, Todd is an animal. Like, just a really bad dude. He might seem all nice, and he might do a couple of nice things, but man, he's broken. He's a really bad person. He's a horrible, terrible, terrible person. Walt has lost a lot of weight as his wedding ring doesn't fit anymore. As he spent there for months, after some time, presumably a couple of months, Walt finally goes down to this little bar. Apparently, I think it's like 8 miles away. That's what the guy said, Ed. The guy who made people disappear. It said that like the town is like 8 miles away or something like that, which wasn't really the town technically. I don't know how long you walk for, but for quite some time, Walter finally goes down to this little bar where he manages to contact his son Walter Jr. by phone, as Walt wants to send him $100K in cash. His son becomes furious and screams at his own father, insulting him on top of that, calling him an asshole and all these other things. As not even that has worked out for Walt, he decides to give up and call the DEA and to just let them arrest him. Waiting for the DEA to arrive at the bar, Walt sees Elliot and Gretchen on television talking to Charlie Rose. So he has an idea, and quite frankly, a change of heart. So he basically escapes as the police have arrived, and that's the end of that episode. And you already have the beautiful, beautiful outro music of Breaking Bad playing while you're still seeing images, which is actually a rare thing. The dom 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 dum 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 dum. That was a short version of it. I love it so much. It's so great, and that's one of my favorite musical pieces in all of Breaking Bad, and I love that they played that here while the episode was still playing. I cannot wait to watch Better Call Saul. I'm just so excited for it. I really am. But episode 16, final episode, Felina. Which, by the way, you can watch multiple videos on how those season 5 names came about. Yeah, they're actually like each of the names or some of the names have like a really different meaning. It's really cool. Like some of the things these episodes mean. It's just awesome. You guys should look this up yourself. Like what Felina means, Ozymandias, and so on, Tohajali, and all that. Right? There's so much like of a deep meaning there for all of those things. So I'm really big fan of that. Absolutely. Yeah. Episode 16, Felina, final episode, series finale. So many TV shows have messed up the finale. This one does not mess it up. It totally it crushes it. Walt drives all the way from New Hampshire to Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is a very long drive. I don't know exactly how long. Like I think like Ed said something like 3,300 miles or 3,400 miles, something like that, which is a lot for all you Europeans out there or non-Americans and non-British people and some other people's places. I mean, it basically where the metric system is a thing. 3,300, 3,400 miles might be like 5,000 kilometers. That's a guess. And if you want to talk about the map of the United States, it's like New Hampshire is in the very northeastern region of the United States, and New Mexico is like central, southern in the middle. You know, yeah, I think. This is just kind of from my memory that I'm taking this from. But yeah, it is a very long drive indeed. Walt has $9.72 million, which is a lot of money to be fair, left, and he makes Elliot and Gretchen give that money to Walt's son, Walter Jr., on his 18th birthday, which I believe is in 10 months and 2 days. Which is what he said, I think. So yeah, he convinces them to do that. He threatens them by pretending to have hired sniper assassins, but it was actually just Skinny Pete and Badger with laser pointers. I love it. It's so great. I love seeing Skinny Pete and Badger. I think they're great. They have an awesome vibe. They're funny. They're entertaining. They're just cool. They're just hilarious, really. So I'm a big fan whenever I see them. I'm a big fan of them, so I'm happy whenever I see them. Okay, that now made sense. Ooh, this is a long video. Woo, woo. It is Walt's 52nd birthday, meaning that all of Breaking Bad has spanned almost exactly 2 years. Almost exactly 2 years. Like pretty much down to a T, right? Awesome. Walt has successfully put ricin into Lydia's tea, which will make her disappear, presumably within the next 72 hours. Now he kind of like put it into her sugar, and she put the sugar into her tea, you know, so he didn't directly do it, but it was very much him who caused it, right? So it's basically him killing her, right? Yeah. Like, let's be honest, alright? Walt finally tells Skyler, I did it for me, rather than I did it for the family, which had been his thing. I'm doing this all for the family. Had been his thing throughout the entire time. And by the way, when they have that final confrontation, Walt and Jesse, I would have loved for them to just hug one last time. But no, that didn't happen. No. he also tells Jesse that he did it for himself. I just love when Walt tells Skyler, I did it for me. I loved it. I was good at it. No, he was like, I liked it. Yeah, it's again, so many great moments, man. Speaking of great moments, in a genius moment, a device which Walt had built pops out of the trunk and kills all of Todd's crew except for Todd, who got then killed by Jesse. That's not that big of a difference, I guess. Jesse escapes into his freedom, and Walt has been wounded by his own machine, and right before he dies, he marks a bloody W on a chemical container, which most likely stands for Walter White. But it could also mean that he views his entire meth journey as a win, as a W. It could mean that too, Like, he could have also been like, L. But now he was like, W. And he was just lying there. Yeah, and he did it, man. He did it. And nobody else killed him. Like, it's not the police or the DEA who killed him. It's not any of these other dangerous criminals who killed Walt. It's really, I guess himself. He lived his life. He hurt a lot of people. He did what he wanted to do. But he hurt a lot of people. And he killed a lot of people as well. And he managed to provide for his family and told Elliot and Gretchen that they should give that money. So it's basically Walt still giving Skyler and Walter Jr. that money. Pretty amazing stuff. And that's it. My final review, my final rating. Breaking Bad is a brilliant show. It's filled with so much rich storytelling and iconic moments, great pieces of acting, beautiful cinematography showing the environment, the desert, and everything is just so... It's beautiful. It's heartfelt, emotional. It feels real the way it's done. It's authentic. It doesn't feel like, all right, I don't believe this. This is bullshit. It is filled with a little too many conveniences and inconveniences, in my opinion. Yeah, a little too much of that. Like, really at this exact moment. Like, for instance, when you have Hank... Two moments. These are just two examples from the top of my head. One moment when Walt was basically in Hank's office, and Mike had already gone away, right? Was this episode 7 maybe? And just so coincidentally, right? Stephen Gomez comes by at that exact moment, telling Hank about what Mike that they wanna like freaking oh yeah, he's at the that they wanna get him, right? Catch him, because they have like some evidence, or I don't know what exactly that was, I forgot. But basically, so coincidentally that Walt also overheard that conversation. It's just like, it's so many coincidences that are happening at that moment. So Walt immediately then calls Mike and warns him about that. Then there's the other moment of when Jesse is freaking burning the house down. And Hank gets to him just in time. Coincidence? So then Hank takes Jesse with him. They drive off. And Walt comes right into that moment just as the car is no longer to be seen. But just like perfect timing where they don't see each other anymore. But it's like just, again, coincidental like that. You know what I mean? I just too many conveniences and inconveniences like that, in my opinion. Also, when there are certain misunderstandings because they just don't let each other talk, but to the point where it's not like it's kind of just frustrating sometimes. So that's not like my only gripe. Second, okay, I have one more gripe, and that's that the show sometimes had a little bit of pacing issues, like especially like in season 2. After the whole Tuco incident, so after season 2, episodes 1 and 2, the show had a little bit of a drought. It got a little slower. It was a little slower then. So it could have been better then for sure. But it's not that big of a deal. Other than that, this show raises awareness on drugs and crystal meth being a huge problem, and I think it does it so in a good way. The way it does it, I think it's appropriate. It doesn't over glorify drugs, because there are a couple of scenes when, like, yeah, these characters are like feeling good, I guess, or seemingly feel good, because it's actually toxin for your body, right? Let's get that clear, and for your health. But you see, like, how these people live, like all these meth heads, like Wendy. She's a mess. She is a mess. She's a real druggie. You see those other meth heads who had a son who, just a poor little kid who didn't really have anything proper to watch on television, just one channel, and it's just sad seeing like all these people's lives have been ruined from drugs, and then we're watching these people cook more drugs, sell more drugs, and we're rooting for these people. Well, I was rooting for Walt. Some of you were rooting for Jesse. I did feel bad for Jesse, though, I have to say at the end. Like, I was like, he has been through a lot of pain and shit, and yeah. It's a sad show. It is a sad show. It's a great show. Like I said, great acting, great villains. Tuco is a great villain. Tuco's cousins, I thought, were really fun characters. Fun characters. Not the best characters. I thought they were probably the weakest ones out of the main villains out there. Yeah, they were, I guess, a little corny. I guess you could say that, but I still got it why they acted why they acted a certain way. You know what I mean? I understood, kind of. You know what I mean? Gus Fring, best villain, hands down. He just, I mean, unless you call like Walter White a villain, but I don't really want to call him a villain. I don't want to call Walter White a villain. Gus Fring, but man, so good. It's just this show has really revived and made so many actors' careers just shine, and it's brought so much joy to such a large group of people, and it's just a great show. What do you want me to say? I give this show a 9 out of 10. I think this is one of the greatest shows of all time. It's always an absolute treat and pleasure to watch it. I did have to name those gripes that I had with the show, and I stand by them. Like I said, pacing and conveniences. to the extent that it was done in the show. But I thought the way the show was interconnected, kind of like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is surprising for a film franchise, normal for a TV show, but that you have one creator overlooking the entire project, I think was so incredibly beneficial for the show. And it just proved, man, he just proved to the world that he's one of the best writers in the world, I would say. You know, one of the best TV show creators who has a vision and just brilliantly executes it from the beginning all the way to the end. Huge, massive respect. Thank you, Vince Gilligan. Thank you, Bryan Cranston, Aaron Paul, Giancarlo Esposito, Jonathan Banks, Bob Odenkirk. I forgot the name of the man who played Huel. I'm sorry. Was it Lafayette? No. Sorry, I'm sorry. Bill Burr. What's the guy's name who played Tuco? The guy also played Hector Salamanca. He was terrific too. Sorry, just so many great ones. I love this show. That's it. I'm done. Breaking Bad. Also, of course, thanks to all the makeup artists and like the Gus Fring makeup. Brilliant. You know, so good. The way that looked real. I don't care what anybody says, that looked real. It's so good. It's so good. And if you have seen this, I mean, if you watch these videos, right? If you have seen these Breaking Bad videos that I've done, first of all, massive thank you to you. I'm so grateful. I really am. Secondly, you can kind of tell that I really love this show, and you most likely also love this show, especially if you're still watching right now as I'm talking about this for a very long time. I hope you guys enjoyed. It was a pleasure talking to you about this show. Next review next week will be for El Camino. And then when we're done with El Camino, the week after that, we'll get into Better Call Saul, which I'll do all 6 seasons across 6 weeks, hopefully. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed. Everybody, thanks you so very much for watching.